It's the Daily Dog.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Doug. My name is Doug Helvering. I am so excited that you're here because today it's a special edition of the Daily Doug. You made it. You made it to the right episode. Good for you. If you are watching live with us, you're on at 9 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast on Wednesday, November 18th. And it's going to be the premiere of my brand new choral composition. It is called Principa Rerum, and I am so excited to share it with you, y'all. I'm really happy. This is going to be fun. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and thanks for being a part of it. If you're on watching live with us, I'm with you in the comments. We're going to see this little introductory video, and then we're going to watch the premiere. After that, I will be on Facebook Live, and I'll be answering any questions that you might have about the piece or about what I do. So be thinking about good questions. One good question might be, where do I buy it? All right, that would be a good question. So I want to take you through a little bit of background on the piece first, and I'll try to do so in a way that's not very long-winded. We shall try. This piece, I want you to think back to what it felt like in May of this year. It's been a struggle, right? It's been a really difficult year. In May, we were sort of like, we were 10, 12 weeks into the pandemic. We're limping towards the end of an academic year. And choral musicians were just apoplectic because we're like, holy shit, guys, when are we going to be able to gather together and sing and together as a community and perform and rehearse some of these, the great music that is available to us? And it was a worrisome time. I, for a time, was just not interested in writing anything new or listening to choral music because it bummed me out too much. But, we were fast learning what there was to learn, early on about the virus and how it was going to affect singing. And my thought turned to problem solving. Okay, problem solving. There's going to be an issue when all of these choirs come back in the fall. They're going to need a repertoire that allows them to do what we need to do, especially scholastic choirs, in a safe way that's still artistic. And so I thought, ooh, that's an interesting point of view for a piece. I wonder what I could come up with. So that was kind of setting my game board, and now it's just play the game or create the game. In this instance, create the piece. So my thought was that as the pandemic ebbs, hopefully, right, or as choral music starts to come back from any sort of lockdown or restriction, that it would be more likely that we would gather in groups of 4 or 8. Than in groups of 40 or 50 right off the bat, especially indoors. So I thought, well, Gabrielli and other Renaissance masters and composers throughout the ages have written multiple choir pieces or modular choir pieces. Why can't I? So this piece, Principa Rerum, was born that way. So I decided to divide the choir up into 4 4-part choirs. So each choir has 4 parts. There's no division of parts within each choir. So that means there's 16 parts altogether. So it's a little complicated, but I was really thinking in terms of just 4 different choirs. It's not that much different to me than thinking of 4 different parts. I also thought that, if this was going to be done partly virtually, then the tempo would need to be consistent. So I set a consistent tempo throughout. It's quarter note equals 60 the whole way through, which allows for people to rehearse without a conductor, to perform without a conductor, to just more easily become cohesive, especially if we're not in the same room at the same time as we do it. The text was one of the last things I figured out. So with 4 different choirs, I thought, 4 different elements. All these 4 different choirs, they do their things sort of in their different spaces, and then the culmination is sort of a gestalt, a betterment than the sum of its parts. And I think lifting up the elements, the fundamental elements in that same way, earth, air, fire, and water, could be applicable and make sense from a text standpoint. So that's how we started off. And I very early realized that I cannot use English to do that, because if I sustain the word air, nobody's going to want to hear excellent sopranos and altos singing air, or people singing earth with all those R's everywhere, right? So the Latin versions of those elements became the text of this piece. Later on, we get all of the choirs singing the words Principa Rerum, the title, and that simply means elements. And then we also sing Pacem, which means peace. And that was kind of like an amen section once everybody got together towards the end there. And so the piece just was a project in me trying to figure out how I can best write in this sort of modular way to allow smaller groups of people to gather together to rehearse and record their stuff, and gather together with, plug in with the rest of the choir, either in a performance or in rehearsal or what have you. So this piece is very flexible in that way. It could be done with 60 people in a room and divide into 4 choirs and everybody sings at the same time. You can do it that way. You can divide into 8 people, 2 on a part in each choir, and then rehearse and maybe record your part in a smaller setting, and then that can be gathered together with everybody else. The way we ended up doing this project, it's a kind of a standard virtual choir. Every person in the recording was in their own space. So people recorded individually instead of in quartets or octets. And, I finished the piece. I finished it on June 2nd of this year, and I put out a demo, a computer-generated demo with string sounds for the choral parts, and put that out on my YouTube channel, and got a pretty decent reaction to it. People seem to like it. And a good friend of mine, Altanise, hi Altanise, messaged me on Facebook and said, "You need to do a virtual choir of this." And I thought, yeah, that'd be fun, but I'm not sure that, one, I could get good enough singers to buy in and do this, because budget, I had little. And I was kind of just down from just 2020, right? She says, no, you should do that. So Altanise made us a Facebook group and set it up, and like within a day, there was like 80 people that had joined the group and said, we want to be a part of this. And it just bowled me over. And I have to tell you, the timing of it was so moving for me. I was really like mentally in a bad place this summer. I've been thinking about my alma mater, Westminster, and everything that's going on in the world, and this was like buoying for me. So I jumped in and said, yes, we're going to do this. And I made the backing tracks for the choirs and said, here's what you're going to do, and here's how to do it. And to my excitement and wonderment and awe, I had 40 wonderful singers from around the world learn this piece on their own. No rehearsal. I did not go over parts with any of these folks. I sent them the score and the backing track with the click that they could sing and record their parts, and these people just handled it. They're wonderful, wonderful friends. I call them Helvering's Army. If this choir has a name, it's Helvering's Army. That's how we do it. Everybody got their parts in by, I guess, the middle of September, and we've been editing since then. I want to lift up a new friend, Leo, who is in Indonesia, a friend of a friend, provided the video editing for this. I did the audio editing, and I'm pleased with the way that it sounds, but I could not make it look as pretty and as polished as Leo did, so I want to thank him for being a part of the project. And I really do want to have a shout out to all of the singers that took time and made this happen. It really does mean a great deal to me. I'm very thankful for you all. And our singers are the only ones that have seen this besides you all. And that changes now. So join me after this is done on Facebook Live and say hello and ask any questions that you want. But coming up next is the world premiere of Principa Rerum. I am thankful that you all have been here. Thanks for your interest in the project. And as far as the Daily Doug goes, we will see you next time on the Daily Doug. But now, stay tuned for the world premiere of Principa Rerum.